manufacturing companies actually flatlined their training program until recently. So what you want to do is have this combined way, private-public, to where the government facilitates it. For example, in the book I wrote, I showed how there's something called IT Works in Philadelphia, which is very similar to something in, I think it was Wisconsin, where Arcadia Engineering needed more engineers. Engineering types, they had to be 4 years. They needed people who work with their hands and minds into engineering, manufacturing kind of thing. So what they did is they went to Wendy's and said, tell you what, if your workforce will come every weekend for Saturday, I'll train them. And if they stick working for you for 6 to 12 months, sometime during that time, I will hire them once their training is proficient. And this was facilitated with a government grant. And so Wendy's loved it, because when it told its workers they were more likely to stay in the job and be consistent, and they didn't just pop out to, I'll do this for 2 months, gosh, I'm not going anywhere, let me try this one, And Arcadia loved it because they were training a workforce that, much like the military, we did not want to take kids who don't like take kids who haven't graduated from high school. We don't have to, because finishing Wendy's in your training force shows commitment. So when they invest that training amount of time, they know they're going to get someone who's more likely than not stay the course when they hire them. So that's a way where you let the private industry say, here's our needs. You have Wendy's or something private industry say, well, I got the workforce, it changes every 2 days, but that's pretty good. And you facilitate. It's just one way of doing it. IT Works, which did Philadelphia, and I went to visit twice, has a different way. But I believe with what I call a national apprenticeship program, again, that chief petty officer puts their arm around you. It could be somebody who's retired or whatever it is, small business. You set this up, and you didn't have a system where we're focused on labor training. We don't today. The reason I learned about that is when I got out of the Navy and I was running my first job in this nearly 2-1 public district, and I'm a Democrat, and just converted to it. They took me to the postal workers collect every year canned goods. And so I went around, they did it, and we brought it to a food pantry. After the election, before I got elected, before I got sworn in, I went back to the food pantry. And I just talked with people as they were coming in, because maybe we don't have homelessness or food pantries. And so I just chatted with them, and one of the persons said, I think it's incumbent upon this nation to say, coal mine's closing, but we got this green energy coming. And as you probably know, every $1 million into coal, every $1 million into green energy, on average, depending on what it is, but I averaged them all, from biomass to solar power and wind, is 45 jobs. So you get twice as much manufacturing jobs for the same investment. And so, to me, that all makes sense. As I finish up, I don't want to dismiss colleges. I honestly believe that I'm a little worried about that people will say, well, we give everybody's loans. To some degree, it's going to be those people who are working with their hands and their minds that are going to end up paying part of that. And I honestly, because their taxes are going to be that. But I do believe there's a way to help out. Our government is going to make $127 billion in profit this decade off of students, because it uses the 10-year Treasury bond as the basis for their interest rate. It's been using it for years and years. It never changes. But according to, I think it was Congressional Research Service, Congressional Budget Office, that's $127 billion profit they're going to make. Let's change that to where the government doesn't make profit. Number two, 40% of all students change their colleges at some time in their years of going to it. Only 40%, or 50% of their courses are ever accepted by a new college, because it's a business to the colleges also. So you might take a psychology course here and try to get it here, but it just doesn't quite meet this. We need a national, what's called articulation, because I actually had a bill for this also in Congress. We need a national credit transfer system, because that's billions more dollars. So there's a way to address the problems to make it, as I said, government needs to execute. If it can't roll out a website, it needs to make sure that it's got to learn how to do that stuff. Piss poor plan settings, piss poor execution. So that's kind of where I sit on our education system, because it is our homeland defense. In the United States Navy, I'll tell you, we took utmost interest in training and retraining, and education for sending people off, and then we utilized them. That's why I was moved from working with General Colin Powell and the Joint Staff to work with President Clinton to bring together our national security strategy each year. Or why it could be someone who comes in and works on the radar, but when they re-enlist, they're sent off to work on the entire Aegis combat radar system. And then they're sent off for re-enlistment. They also work on the fire control system. And finally, they work on the entire, all the ships of weapons and operation system. We train them and keep training them and all. And I think that's where this nation needs to go. Because this change in our nation, in our world, isn't going, with the rapidity of change, isn't going to slow down whatsoever. And just shotgunning tariffs out there isn't going to help. We need both. We need those with their hands and minds, which I call the artisans, because I started in the Navy, as I told you, with the plumbers. We did it. We were the hoteliers. You know, we did the plumbing, the welding, the electricity, the interior communication men. At the time, I only had men on the ship. And, you know, the guy, the machinist mates, the air conditioning, you name it, they would call us. And I came with great respect for them. And if we do this manufacturing right, and I have a way that we need to do China correctly, I think we're going about the exact wrong way. I'm happy to talk about it. We will see increasingly manufacturing coming back. I'll stop with that. Open it up to questions. I hope I haven't gone on a little too long, but I honestly believe this is. When I went to Congress, they put me on the Armed Services Committee and Intelligence Committee because I had been in the military 31 years, and they said, well, you had Navy strategic anti-terrorism, you put in intelligence. I asked anywhere to get out because I didn't want to be one trick pony. I wanted to be in education because there's a subcommittee on healthcare there, and I knew what would eventually be the healthcare plan would go through it. And then I asked for a way to be on a third committee, so I had that, I had education and healthcare, because the healthcare was a subcommittee here. And then I went to small business. And I'll end with a little insight of why I got to be vice chairman of a small business committee. I don't remember if I said that when I was at your event, but I got to be vice chairman as a freshman. Normally it takes you 10, 12 years to become one. I thought they wanted to show they had a sense of humor or something. No, there's no PAC money that people give to small business Congress people. So nobody wanted to go there because small businesses don't have PACs. And so therefore, nobody goes there, therefore they're not represented. Despite what everybody's saying, small business, where the majority of Americans work, is what it's all about. Nobody goes there. So with that, I'd be happy to open up to any questions. That's all.
It's a statement, not necessarily a question, but my first journeyman, I think you'll get a kick out of this, said, kid, we're going to do the 7 Ps. And I said, well, what's the 7 Ps? Anybody know what the 7, something similar to what you're saying, by the way. Excuse my language, you're the prior. Okay. Prior, how did it go? Prior proper preparation prevents piss poor performance.
Well, yeah, I said simpler. It's piss poor planning, it's piss poor planning. Excuse me. I actually said it at Des Moines Register editorial report. Yeah. And I meant that. I was trying to explain in the healthcare system, do you want to get from here to here? You know, have some milestones that measure it on the way so you can adjust or not. You just can't take that, you know, leap of faith. So I have to agree with that. And we don't do it. So for example, if you want 40,000 more troops, like they did in the last administration in Afghanistan, where'd that number come from? And I asked in testimony, what are the if you have a strategy, and that's the number you came up with, you must have milestones of execution that you can say, this will accomplish this, this, and this, and this. What are they? So that didn't say, well, it's kind of a hypothetical question. But then how'd you come up with 40,000 troops? And that's
right out of the Bible.
Yeah. 19 years of war there.
Way too long.
And you need measures of effectiveness and all. And
You had made a comment about WIC, and it's a, it's a great program, thank God. However, I've had friends that have been using it, and it's only as good for 3 weeks. It doesn't pay the full money.
That I didn't know.
Yeah, I've had too many, they've all complained. It's like, by the time you get to the end of the month, you've run out.
Yeah.
And the other piece is the qualifications for WIC, for food stamps,
Right.
for any kind of assistance they are, you might as well be homeless, because the qualifications are set so low that so many people get knocked out quite easily in that, and that's really, really sad. So that, that's something to address. I don't know if that would come from where you are, but.
Yes, I didn't know it was only 3 weeks. I did know it was underfunded. I didn't know it equated to 3 weeks that it run out on, but that makes sense.
Yeah, because
If it's underfunded, of course, you're using a normal basis, you're gonna run out that last week. So that, I should have said I didn't know, but I did know that it was underfunded because time and again they're saying that. And yes, I believe the same type of effort, I've heard that the challenges that, people go through on this because all of a sudden they hit a certain level and no more, is not dissimilar to those that are on SSSI, if I say that correctly.
Right,
of
the Social
Medicaid.
Security, Disability,
Right.
Medicaid, Medicare.
And so here they are, ready to take a decent job, and what I really want to do, I have a proposal to say, after meeting with the Disability Caucus here in Iowa, believe it or not, twice, and because we didn't have one in the Democratic Party here you have one. It's very well done. And they walked me through some stuff, and I contacted Pennsylvania about setting one up, and they've stayed on to it. But they, what they have is you're ready to take a job, but you're going to lose your benefits. There should be something like a trial basis of a year to see if it's sustainable for the worker, and if the income is sufficient, then do it rather than bam, pushing them off. Because everyone wants value in life. These people say, well, they're on this welfare. No, I have really yet to meet people who say, I wouldn't like to do it on my own, but you got to get through that. So I'll take that aboard what you said,
Well,
right?
and then another thing too is Social Security, that my mom and friends that are living on Social Security are it's a piss poor income, and it's putting seniors at poverty level, yet it's just enough that they don't qualify for any of these assisted programs. Yeah. And it's like, you're trying to live in on $1,200 a month. Yeah. That's pretty lousy. Yeah,
it's tough. I do know, I'm not sure how much we're going to be able to increase the benefits, to be quite honest with you. The challenge right now is to sustain the benefits because of what you said. If Social Security goes away, 42% more people move into poverty.
And it's a very simple thing, and Warren Buffett and many other people have talked, raise the cap.
Well, and that's my proposal, is you can do it one of two ways. Mine has been, back in the Ronald Reagan, Tip O'Neill Great Compromise of Social Security in '88 or so, what they did is had 88 or 87% of all income was covered, all wages. Now it's like 83, 84%. I think it's 83. That money has moved to the top 1%. So my proposal has been, at least right now, instead of having, it's a progressive way of looking at things. This money has gone up here, so it is a progressive way of saying, okay, I would skip from where we are, have a gap to get about 250, from 140 here. There's no more increase in here. Here's where the money really went, 250,000 and above, because that's where you increase tax, and that's on my website.
Because my brother made $1 million in his own company one year, and he said, why am I only paying on 250?
Right.
Why don't I pay the full amount? Because I'll get it back when I retire. It's an investment in my future to put that in there.
So Social Security was about 2033, but there was a report out, you may have seen about 2 months ago.
If they stop stealing from it.
Pardon me?
If they stop stealing
Yeah,
from it.
well, it's actually going into the red here, just in a number, I've forgotten how many years, but 5 to 7. It's a lot more near-term danger right now. People tend to forget also that the Affordable Care Act, Medicare was going into the red in 2017. And the Affordable Care Act kicked that out to 2030. And we paid for it. That Affordable Care Act did a lot of good for people on Medicare and other areas that, got lost in the drownage of the bitterness of that issue. It's why I said if I were fortunate enough to serve the country as president, I said, what would you do first day? The 4 things I mentioned, the very first one was town hall in the middle of America. A physical town hall. Anybody could come. Because sometimes I think people just want to hear from you and be able to talk to you. It was like captain of the bridge getting off, captain of the ship getting off the bridge and going down the mess decks. Sometimes, and that's how I won my district. We were everywhere. You disagreed with me on choice, and you wrote those kind of letters that people do, or a polite letter, some of them. We invited you in once a quarter on a Saturday. You had to care, 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. And I'd meet with them. I did this for 2-3 hours. 60 showed up the first time, next quarter 40, next time 20, kind of, sometimes they just want to. And that's kind of what I like to do, because I also think it explains from the captain's viewpoint to the crew as I was on the ship, here's why we're doing what we're doing, so the misperceptions don't occur. I told them today over in Omaha that people tend to forget, the Tea Partiers, that the original Tea Partiers in 1789 actually passed the Affordable Care Act in a different venue. It mandated that every merchantman in our merchant fleet at that time, in the first couple sessions of Congress, mandated they have to have health care. And they had to pay a portion of it. Sounds like mama, right? And the reason they did that, I told them, was they knew that our economy was totally reliant upon scurvy not taking down our merchant ships. Because we were going to take, our economy was going to take these wonderful natural resources of America like timber, transport them to England, get them changed into furniture, to come back and have the growing into middle class families buy them. That was what it's going to be. And our economy was totally reliant upon the sea lanes. And so you better not get sick, they mandated, and they had to pay for part of the health care. Government paid for it.
There was also a restriction on it, you could not make furniture in America.
That was too, yeah. So, you know, you had this thing going back and forth, but at least they sold it, they had some money, and it kept the economy. And I tell people, we lose $110 to $150 billion a year because of the under and uninsured. We're kind of we all have impact on it. You know? Last question or two? Yes.
Obviously, this has been in the making for quite a while, but the Democratic Party there's so few like moderates and bipartisans left, and same thing with the Republican Party. So therefore, the divide is growing so much between those two parties. What, if you were elected president, what would you do to make sure that we got back to the days of the parties working together?
That is the major reason I have gotten in. If you read my website and the speeches, it says, more than anything else, it's about having the next leader be someone who people know will be accountable to people, all Americans, so that they trust that person, even when disagreeing well, or if we're not united, we cannot move forward. That was the major reason I got in. Second was global experience, depth and breadth. Third was being trusted now, accountability, to do and explain why we're moving forward. It's what I did. So what I would do is exactly what I did in my nearly 2-to-1 Republican district, where I got reelected after having been the second Democratic congressman, you know, in the district since the Civil War. 100% voting record from NARAL pro-choice, 100% by now, 95% by Human Rights Campaign, and then from NRA. They reelected me by 20 points, and I didn't spend one penny on a campaign ad, not one. We were everywhere, talking and listening. And that doesn't mean it's going to be easy at all. It doesn't mean it is. But I'm talking not just the Senate, both sides, and I would. I'd have them over, every one of them. Talk to them. Doesn't mean I'm going to win them over. But can I get out there in the public and also mitigate their misperceptions? Explain why I believe in something while listening. So when they ask me what I'm going to do, my first day, I say, look, I'm first going to do an open town hall, then I'm going to fly that night to Paris and reestablish the Paris Accord for climate change. You know, there'll be a convening, just bring them together because that's our greatest danger. Then on the way back, I'm going to announce this training for a lifetime for the labor force, which is Trump supporters and Clinton support, you know what I mean? It's you I'm focused on. Yes, we're going to fix costs up here, but here. Then I'd land, and actually it's 5 things. I go to an NRA gun show. I go to open loop gun show, just walk around, say, you're still Americans. I'm not going to take guns, but I do believe this. Because when I was captain of a ship, if you had a gun, I invited you to bring it aboard. Put it in with our regular guns, you know, pistols and stuff. And I brag every Sunday that we weren't doing heavy ops. A sled with a deer on it, well, outlining a deer, let them shoot and practice as we cooking hamburgers in 50-gallon drums and having a fun time, you know, enjoyable afternoon, just like in America, Constitution rights. And then I'd walk into a mosque and say, everybody's equal here as far as I'm concerned. And by how you are in the presidency, I think that's how they'll see the president. It's going to be a no. I know that's not fantasy, but it did work. I had 19 pieces of bipartisan legislation passed in my first 2 years. Sidney Hoyer said after my first year, we were the most productive congressmen in my freshman class. Some of it was stuff that we just needed to do, like autism. The first funding of real money, I don't mean just an authorization bill, I mean hard cash, in autism research, because at the time, 1 out of every 125 youth is on the autism spectrum who was born. Now it's 1 out of every 75. Part of it is we're diagnosing it better. Second, first elder abuse act. I didn't get through the Senate, but 4.5 million Americans who are seniors this year will be abused, primarily financial, but also physical and even sexual. And there's been reports of this out there. But only 80% to 90% are not reported. 10 to 20% are reported. We really need to have a system, particularly with the baby boomers, and it's going to be growing as they retire. So I intend to go to them and talk to them, but go to them. So the example I use is, as I walked across Pennsylvania that time, you know, people wondered why. And why is pretty clear by 2 incidents. I'm walking through a small town in rural America, in Pennsylvania, and a gentleman opens the car dealer short. I'm in my flight jacket, so he recognized me because every place I went on television, news. He says, "Hey, Admiral, I'm a Republican, but I love what you're doing." About 2 days later, a call from the leadership of the Democratic Party in the Senate said, "Stop. Go back and fundraise. This is a waste of your time." I said, "Oh, sir, when I first got into politics, they wanted to know who I was. Who's this person who, senior military officer, wasn't independent, becomes a Democrat? Don't you belong to the Republican Party? Tell me about yourself, you know?" But by that period of time, they want to know if I knew them. Did I know what they had gone through? And I think that's what's missing today. And I think that's why I tell them, Trump's not the problem, he's a symptom of the problem. That people didn't listen and really get it down. Why would they? Then they supported pharmaceutical lobbyists against them, you know what I mean? And they took it. So, to me, I can't tell you that's going to be. But I do think when you can't find a comment about me on the Republican Party, putting the Republican Party down, and you can say, "Pat Toomey, I totally disagree with you. And this policy, boom." I've had a beer after I debated with Pat Toomey, but I violently disagree on some of his proposals. But that way, I think that's what's most needed. All I know is, if there isn't somebody in there who's not seen, and that's what I ran against Arlen Specter, despite the president on down saying, you know, to me that's the calling card. I need to tell the nation, no, I'll be for you before my party. And the party's wrong. Now, today, they wouldn't take Arlen Specter, who humiliated Anita Hill, because the Me Too generations happened. And that's the problem. Who's been accountable for that war in Iraq? Who's been accountable for that tearing down the wall in Wall Street, letting them trample on us? Who's been accountable for, a lot of the abuses that went forward, like to Anita Hill? And they're still running. I don't get it. And so I think being able to stand there and say, yeah, I serve my country above myself, and be able to say, the truth is this, I think will help to at least let me sit down and talk. I don't know, it seems to me the way it has to be. I don't know how else to do it. But I do know if we don't heal our soul, we're not going to make it. Last question? Okay, I want to say thanks, first of all, for coming. I got to say thanks. The graciousness with which you welcomed us up here. We intend to be back. I spoke to some of you there, the wonderful big, God, there had to be 150, 200 people there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and all. I came back because I want to do an issue. plus it's time, it's effectiveness. I was going to be in Omaha, I'm going to be passing through, why not do an event on the way home? And I got a radio show over there that they have, somebody gave it to me. You remember who, Chris Baker?
Yeah.
So he said he's pretty conservative.
Yes.
Yeah, but the guy there was a climate change, and he said, you should go on, and hell, I was on Breitbart 2 weeks ago, did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah, well, see, well, the cable shows aren't doing me in, so I'll go anywhere, and I actually, except for the headline, got a pretty fair hearing from him. And, you know, here's why immigration, it was on immigration. And I said, hey, everybody, you know, recognize that American women aren't having enough babies. The birth rate is so low since 1970, that if it weren't for all types of immigration since 1970, we'd be a population death spiral like Japan is. The only thing is they put some headline up there that was exciting, but they gave me a fair deal and all that. All right, thank you very much. And that's the way I'm going to do it. I'm not going to be fearful about going shopping. Thank you.